Out of all the five senses, your vision seems the most important. Humans are fairly unique in their reliance on sight as the dominant sense, and this is reflected in how complicated our eyes are relative to other creatures. Many animals gain most of their information about the environment through their sense of smell. For example, your dog's nose tells him much more about his world and who is in it than his eyes. In contrast, you can't smell all the wildlife that visited your yard, but you could see them in vivid color. The human eye is an organ that reacts with light and allows light perception, color vision, and depth perception as well. The eyes shout with what the lips fear to say, said William Henry. This is for the eyes betray innermost emotions like fear, apprehension, joy, or sorrow without having to express it in words. Moreover, being the language of the heart, they do not lie and hence play an important role during personal interviews and interpersonal relationship. Besides this, eyes are the windows through which we view the world around us. Other primary senses like touch, taste, and smell are directly or indirectly dependent on sight. This is for the eyes in association with the brain. Decipher the color, thereby evaluating the temperature of an object even before it is being touched. Indeed, eyes are the best gift of God. We are not aware of its importance as long as our vision is perfect. Out of the five senses like sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, the loss of sight is the worst one can ever suffer. It is because of this, Helen Keller said, of all the senses, sight must be the most delightful. We are going to learn a new chapter now, The Human Eye and the Colorful World. Session 1. These are all the concepts that you're going to learn in this chapter. I want all of you to write all these concepts before starting, to write notes in your classwork. So after writing all these, you can start with your notes. The first concept is the human eye, its construction and working, accommodation of human eye, range of normal vision and defects of vision, also their correction, reason of having two eyes and the gift of vision, glass prism, refraction through glass prism, dispersion of light and recombination of spectrum, the rainbow, atmospheric refraction, Tyndall effect, effects of scattering of sunlight in the atmosphere. All these concepts are very interesting because most of the facts about our nature you might not be knowing all these days. So after this chapter, you will be knowing the reasons for many natural phenomena that is taking place in the atmosphere. So let us start with today's session. In today's session, you are going to learn these concepts. The human eye, construction and working, accommodation of human eye. So let us start with today's session. The human eye works on the refraction of light. You had learnt what is refraction of light by lenses in the previous chapter, isn't it? So you should be remembering all the concepts whatever you have learnt in the previous chapter. Only then you can understand the refraction and all the other concepts in this chapter easily. The human eye works on the refraction of light through a natural convex lens made up of transparent living material. This enables us to see the things around us. Our eye is the most important optical instrument gifted to us by the God. Without eye, all the other optical instruments would have no value at all. In this chapter, you will study the structure and working of the human eye. The front part of the eye is called cornea. You can see here in the diagram. It is made up of a transparent substance and it is bulging outwards. The outer surface of cornea is convex in shape. The light coming from objects enters the eye through cornea. So, here the light will enter from outside inside the eyes. Just behind the cornea is the iris or the color diaphragm. You can see here iris. So this part is the iris, and if you see on a normal eye it is going to be like this, and it is the detailed structure of human eye. This part is called as iris. So behind iris only you will be having the lens. So this part is called iris. Iris is a flat, colored, ring-shaped membrane behind the cornea of the eye. There is a hole in the middle of the iris which is called pupil of the eye. This part is called as the pupil. This part, you can see here a small hole is there, that is called as pupil. Pupil is a hole in the middle of the iris. The pupil appears black because no light is reflected from that part. The eye lens, this part, the central one here, and here if you see in detail it is going to be the lens. The eye lens is a convex lens made up of transparent, soft and flexible material like a jelly made up of proteins. Being flexible, the eye lens can change its shape. That means it can become thin or thick to focus light and adjust. The eye lens is held in position by suspensory ligaments. One end of the suspensory ligaments is attached to the eye lens and the other end is attached to a ciliary muscles. You can see here ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles change the thickness of eye lens while focusing the light. In other words, the focal length of eye lens can be changed by changing its shape by the action of ciliary muscles. In this respect, an eye differs from a camera. The focal length of convex lens used in a camera is fixed and cannot be changed. But in the human eye, the focal length of the convex lens present inside the eye can be changed by the action of ciliary muscles. So this is going to be the function of this particular part. I repeat, the focal length of convex lens which is used in camera is fixed. That means it cannot be changed. But in our eyes, the length of that is focal length of the convex lens present inside the eye can be changed, and this can be changed by the action of ciliary muscles. The screen on which the image is formed in the eye is called retina. You can see here, this is the retina. So this is going to be the screen where the image is going to be formed on the eye. The retina is behind the eye lens. So this is the lens and it is behind that. So the retina is the place where the image is going to be formed. It acts like a screen and it is behind the lens. The retina of an eye is just like the film of a camera. The retina is a delicate membrane having a large number of light sensitive cells called rods and cones. So these are the light sensitive cells that are present in retina. I repeat, there are large number of light sensitive cells called as rods and cones. They respond to the intensity of light and the color of objects respectively. And how do they respond like that? By generating electrical signals at the junction of optic nerve. This is the optic nerve. At the junction of optic nerve and retina in the eye, there are no light sensitive cells. That means there are no rods or no cones there, due to which no vision is possible at that spot. This is called as blind spot. So this spot is called as blind spot. Blind spot is a small area of the retina which is insensitive to light where the optic nerve leaves the eye. So when the image of an object falls on the blind spot, it cannot be seen by the eye. It should be noted that there is an eyelid in front of the eye. This part, eyelid in front of the eye, which is just like the shutter in a camera. When eyelid is open, light can enter the eye, but when the eyelid is closed, no light enters the eye. The space between cornea and eye lens, the space between cornea and eye lens is filled with a watery liquid called aqueous humor. So this liquid is called aqueous humor, and the space between eye lens and retina is filled with a transparent jelly-like substance called vitreous humor. This space is filled with a liquid called vitreous humor. I repeat, the space between cornea and eye lens. So cornea is this part and lens is this, and the space in between is filled with aqueous humor. And the space between eye lens, that is this part, eye lens, and retina, this is retina, this space is filled with a transparent jelly-like substance called vitreous humor, which supports the back of the eye. You should be knowing all the parts and their functions. Only then you can be able to answer any MCQs or 1 markers as based on these parts. So how does this eye work? What are the different functions of so many parts? You will be learning that now when you are learning about the working of human eye. The light rays coming from the object kept in front of us enters the cornea, that is enters through the cornea of the eye, passing through the pupil of the eye and fall on the eye lens. The eye lens is a convex lens. So what type of lens is it? It is a converging lens, isn't it? So the eye lens being convex lens, it converges the light rays and produces a real and inverted image of the object on the retina. I told you all, retina acts as the screen where the image is formed, isn't it? So the eye lens, which is basically convex lens, converges the light, that is light rays, and produces a real and inverted image of the object on the retina. Actually, the outer surface of cornea also acts as convex lens, due to which cornea converges most of the light rays entering the eye. Only the final convergence of light rays is done by the eye lens to focus the image of an object exactly on the retina. So if it is inverted, how do we able to recognize? You will have this doubt, no? It will be cleared now. The image formed on retina is conveyed to the brain by the optic nerve and gives rise to the sensation of vision. Actually, the retina has a large number of light sensitive cells. I told you all, isn't it? What are those cells? Rods and cones. So when the image falls on the retina, then these light sensitive cells get activated and generate electrical signals. The retina sends these electrical signals to the brain through the optic nerve and gives rise to the sensation of vision. Although the image formed on retina is inverted, our mind interprets the image as that of an erect object. As far as physics is concerned, the eye consists of a convex lens, which is called as eye lens, and a screen, which is called as retina. The eye lens forms a real image of the objects on the retina of the eye, and we are able to see the objects. So to tell it briefly, the human eye is just like a camera. In the eye, a convex lens forms a real and inverted image of the object on the light sensitive screen called retina, whereas in a camera, the convex lens forms a real and inverted image of an object on the light sensitive photographic film. So what are the functions of iris and pupil? The iris controls the amount of light entering the eyes. The iris automatically adjusts the size of pupil according to the intensity of the light received by the eye. If the amount of light received by the eye is large, that is during daytime, then the iris contracts the pupil. That means it makes the pupil small and reduces the amount of light that enters the eye. On the other hand, that is if the amount of light received by the eye is small, that is in a dark room or during night times, the iris expands the pupil. That means it makes the pupil large so that more light can enter the eyes. So, what can you say about the iris? Iris regulates the amount of light entering the eye by changing the size of the pupil. The iris makes the pupil expand or contract according to the intensity of the light around the eye. All these points are important for MCQs and 1 markers. So I repeat, iris regulates the amount of light entering the eye by changing the size of the pupil. That means it makes the pupil expand or contract according to the intensity of light around the eye. If the intensity of the outside light is low, then the pupil expands to allow more light to enter the eye. On the other hand, if the outside intensity of light is high, then the pupil contracts so that less light enters the eye. So you should be knowing that the adjustment of the size of the pupil takes some time. When we go from a bright light to a darkened cinema hall, at first we cannot see our surroundings clearly, isn't it? So all of you must have experienced that. After a short time, our vision improves and we can see the person sitting around us clearly. This is due to the fact that in bright sunlight, the pupil of our eye is small. So suddenly if we enter the dark room, very little light enters our eye and we cannot see properly. After a short time, the pupil of our eye expands and becomes large. More light will enter our eye then and we can see clearly. On the other hand, think the otherwise. If we go from a dark room into a bright sunlight all of a sudden or switch on a bright lamp, what happens then? Then we feel the glare in our eyes. This is due to the fact that in a dark room, the pupil of our eye is large. So when we go out from a dark room into bright sunlight, a large amount of light enters our eyes and we feel the glare. Gradually the pupil of our eye contracts, less light then enters our eye and we can see clearly. In this way, the iris protects our eyes from the glare of bright lights also whenever you are in dark rooms also. Then also the iris will adjust the size of the pupil accordingly so that you can see things clearly. The retina of our eye has a large number of light sensitive cells. There are two kinds of light sensitive cells on the retina. They are called rods and cones. Rods are the rod shaped cells present in the retina. So you can see in the picture here, they are rod shaped cells present in the retina. They are sensitive to dim light. Rods are most important for vision in dim light, that is during the night time or when you are in dark rooms. We can see things to some extent in a dark room or in the darkness of night due to the presence of rod cells in the retina of our eyes. Nocturnal animals. Nocturnal means what? Active during the night. Nocturnal animals, that means animals which sleep during the day and come out at night like the owl, bats, etc. have a large number of rod cells in their retina. These cells will help them see properly during the night when there is not much of light. So our vision is relatively poor as compared to the night vision of an owl or a bat due to the presence of relatively smaller number of rod cells in the retina of human eyes. Rod cells of the retina, however, do not provide information about the colors of the object. So, rod cells means they are the cells that are going to help see things clearly in dim light. And what are they shaped? They are shaped like rods, that is why they are being called as rods. And few animals, nocturnal animals, that means which are very active during the night, they are able to see the objects clearly because of presence of large number of rod cells in their retina. Compared to human being, they will be having more, we will be having very less. That is why we will not be able to see things very clearly in darkness. Then coming to the cones. You can see here these type of cells are called cones. And they are named as cones because they are in cone shape. The cones are the cone shaped cells present in the retina of an eye which are sensitive to bright light. That means normal light. The cone cells of our retina also respond to the colors. In the other words, cone cells causes the sensation of color of the objects in our eyes. The cone shaped cells of the retina make us see the colors and also make us distinguish between various colors. So cone cells of the retina function only in bright light. The cones do not function in dim light. This is why when it is getting dark at night, it becomes impossible to see colors of the cars on the road. Have you experienced this? That is because of the cone. So what are the differences between rods and cones? Rods are sensitive for dim light, cones are sensitive for bright light, and the color vision is possible only in case of cones. Rods do not specify any color signals to the brain. It is only by cones. So you should be knowing the differences clearly and also the functions of both the types of light sensitive cells clearly without any confusions. So by this you can make the differences of both, isn't it? Based on shape, based on function, based on color functionality, based on bright light and dim light, all those. So this is about light sensitive cells in the retina. That is, there are two types, rods and cones. So you can see here also cones will specify the color, but rods will not specify any color because they are usually functional only for dim light. Hope it is clear to you all. Coming to the next concept, accommodation. A normal eye can see the distant objects as well as the nearby objects clearly, isn't it? How is it possible? You will be knowing that now when you understand this concept, accommodation. The eye is able to focus the objects lying at various distances. An eye can focus the images of the distant object as well as a nearby object on its retina by changing the focal length. Every lens will have its focal length, but the speciality of the lens which is there in the eye is it can change the focal length or the converging power of the lens. The focal length of the eye lens is changed by the action of ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles can change the thickness of the soft and flexible eye lens and hence its focal length, which in turn can be changed to converge the power of the eye lens accordingly. How is it possible? You will be knowing that now. But this process is called as accommodation. The process in which the eye lens changes its focal length is called as accommodation. So the power of accommodation while looking distant objects or looking nearby objects can be understood more clearly here. So what happens whenever you watch a very distant object? So whenever you watch an object which is very far, parallel light rays will enter the eye lens, whereas whenever you watch a very close by object, that is nearby object, diverging rays will enter the eye lens. So eye will make the focal length adjustment in order to see the far objects, and it will also adjust its focal length to see nearby objects. So this process of adjusting the focal length to watch distant objects as well as near objects is called as accommodation of eye. So when eye is looking at a distant object, what happens is the ciliary muscles will be completely relaxed. And at this stage what happens is the suspensory ligaments are pulled tight. And when these suspensory ligaments are pulled tight, what happens is they stretch the lens. So you can see the lens is elongated here. So when the lens is being elongated like this, the lens is going to be thin. It is going to become thinner. And this will be the front view of the eye in such cases. So whenever you are watching a distant object, what are the functions that the different parts of the eye do is, ciliary muscles will be completely relaxed, and as a response of that, the suspensory ligaments are pulled tight, and result of this is lens getting stretched. And when the lens is getting stretched, what happens is the lens will become thin. So this will be the side view of the eye when you're looking at distant object, and this will be the front view of the eye when you're looking at distant object. So when the eye is looking at a distant object, then the ciliary muscles of the eye are fully relaxed. The thin eye lens has large focal length, but what about its converging power? Its converging power is going to be very small. So the small converging power of thin eye lens is sufficient to converge the parallel rays of light coming from a distant object to form an image of the same, that is of the object, on the retina of the eye. So this is about when eye is looking at a distant object. So the thin eye lens is not powerful enough to converge the diverging light rays coming from the nearby objects onto the retina. So to look at a nearby object, that is whenever you watch something very close, what happens to the ciliary muscles is they contract. The ciliary muscles get contracted. That means they become small. The contracted ciliary muscles make the suspensory ligaments loose. So the suspensory ligaments get slackened, that means they will become very loose. They won't be tight like in this case. Here it is going to be very loose. When the suspensory ligaments become loose, they stop pulling the eye lens. Then the eye lens bulges under its own elasticity and becomes thick. So it will bulge and become thick. You can see the difference in the image, both the images here. Here the eye lens gets stretched and it becomes thin. Here the eye lens doesn't have much of stress because the suspensory ligaments are loose here, so it becomes bulged. So the thick eye lens will have a small focal length, but what about its converging power? Its converging power is going to be large. Since the converging power of the eye lens increases, the thick eye lens can converge the diverging light rays coming from nearby object to form an image on the retina of the eye. So the ability of an eye to focus the distant objects as well as the nearby objects on the retina by changing the focal length of its lens is called accommodation. Actually, we are done with the session, that is today's session, but let us know a few amazing facts related to our eyes. Do you know how many times you can blink in a minute? An average person blinks 12 times per minute. Our human eye is composed of more than 2 million working parts inside it. And it is impossible to sneeze with eyes open, because when you sneeze, enormous force will be there, and due to that force your eyeball may pop out from the eyelid. That is why we immediately close our eyes even before we sneeze. So it is impossible to sneeze with eyes open. The eyeball of a human weighs approximately 28 grams. Corneas are the only tissues in our human body which will not require any blood cells. And suppose if human eye is a camera, do you know what is the megapixel of that? It is 576 megapixel. And our eyes can differentiate more than 10 million colors. Of all these facts, one interesting fact is all of us were born colorblinded. Do you know this? Yes. At birth, babies see exclusively black, white, and some shades of grey. The nerve cells in the retina are not fully developed on newborn babies. Colors are experienced when light reaches our retina. The retina is a tightly packed nerve cells area in back of the eye. So these nerve cells are called rods and cones. Already you know what are rods and cones and what are their functions, isn't it? So the rods are black and white receptors. Rods are responsible for giving us light and darkness, whereas the cones, on the other hand, are responsible for magnificent colors humans are able to see. Cones come in three varieties: red, blue and green. The spectrum of colors we see is a combination of these three colors. That is why we say red, blue and green as primary colors. Humans are born colorblind. The cones function when a baby is about 4 months. At 1 week after birth, baby can see red, orange and green. It takes much longer time for babies to see blue color. The reason for this delay is that the color blue is shorter light wave and there are fewer blue receptors in the human retina. There are about 5 million cones in a human retina. Underneath the retina, there are cells who interpret the data cones and rods receive. This data is then sent to the brain via the optical nerve and to the brain, which interprets the information as color. So all these are some of the interesting and amazing facts about our eyes. See you all in the next session with a continuation of remaining concepts in this chapter. Thank you.